Welcome to the Pop-Off with Gene FitzMagic and friends. Your daily sports and entertainment radio show, live all over the world. You're going to want to hear what these guys have to say. With their hot takes, recaps, previews, and predictions, sometimes these guys might get along, but most times, they won't. So see what happens when these guys pop off about the world of sports and entertainment.
Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, April 26th, and we have a very happy Abby in the house, and we'll find out how happy Caleeb is in a minute. Some big NFL news. We went over a little bit yesterday, but we got to let Abby get that out of her system today because we know she's ecstatic. And some big NBA games yesterday. Some we kind of figured they would go a certain way, and one for sure we did not expect to go a certain way. But you know what, Abby, real quick before we get into our basketball, let's get this Jet stuff out of the way. You haven't talked about it on the show, and I know you've got a lot to say about it. We don't agree with the compensation per se, but we're both happy he's here. Let's go.
Well, first of all, it's morning for me, so good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Abby.
I have slept wonderfully the last two nights. First, it was Aaron Rodgers, then the Phoenix Suns winning yesterday. We'll obviously get into that later. But Christmas came early for Abby Washington. It really did. I am so excited. It was so surreal today because he checked into the facilities today. He'll be announced at 2 p.m. Eastern, I believe, that he is QB for the New York Jets. And to see him walking into the building with the New York Jets gear, I think Woody Johnson greeted him. It is so surreal, and I will not confirm nor deny if I already started placing some bets for next year. The Jets have their own category on FanDuel, I believe, about betting, and I'm on board that whole train. I'm already like AFC champs, division champs. I know the one I for sure made was a passing TD in every single game. Because, with Lazard and with Garrett Wilson, I just think they're going to pop off. Garrett Wilson's we just saw a glimpse of what he can do. And honestly, I'm expecting him to have just an incredible season next year. But all of Jets Nation should be happy. We have the missing piece. We have a quarterback. And I know I posted that little TikTok video of me dancing around. There was a lot of haters. I don't know why Detroit Lions fans were in there, Chicago Bear fans were in there, Steelers fans were in there, and no one is going to rain on my parade. I'm going to continue to celebrate. I don't care if we have him for 1 year, 2 years, but I know, Gene, you didn't agree with the first-round pick or the conditional first-round pick for 2024.
Let's face it, it's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to play 65%.
Yeah, exactly.
So even if it's an unmitigated disaster, we go 9-8, miss the playoffs, he's going to play 65% of the snaps because that's enough wins where it's going to be where you're going to be battling to get in at the end. So if we have a couple of tough luck losses, then it can make it real dicey, and it would be the worst case scenario would be to go 9-8, miss the playoffs, or I'll tell you what would be worse, getting like a top 5 pick and not make the playoffs and him play 65% of the snaps and have to give that over to Green Bay, then it would be a complete win for Green Bay. I think they won this trade to begin with. Listen, they were going to move on anyway. They got a second-round pick this year. They move up 2 spaces this year. They're going to get that first-round pick next year for a guy they didn't want on the team anyway. It's a huge win for them. Jets win,
and they don't have to pay him.
And they don't have to pay him.
Worry about having to pay him. So,
and that was a part of it too. I was expecting them to pay a portion of that salary. I didn't think we were going to go and pay we'll pay all of it. I thought we were going to be able to get them to at least pay some of it. So I'm a little disappointed in that they weren't able to kind of stick to their guns on that. I feel like if you're looking at it, whose GM did a better job, and I love Joe Douglas. I'm a proponent for Joe Douglas. If this fails, I don't even blame Joe Douglas. If this fails, I keep Joe Douglas. I don't let him go. He's proven to be too good, and this wasn't his move. This was the owner's move. So I don't blame him if this doesn't work out. So if Head's got to roll, if this doesn't work out, it should not be Joe Douglas. But Gutekunst did a better job in this trade than Joe Douglas did. And maybe it's because of the owner that put him in that position. The owner, Woody Johnson probably put him in that position. I remember right after the season ended, Woody Johnson's like, I'll give 2 first-round picks for him. So, he kind of set the tone that we were going to overpay. So I blame Woody for us overpaying. And you know what? It's his pockets. Let him do it. I hope this doesn't hinder us bringing in Quinnen Williams. We've already seen him on a day where every Jet posted Jubilee tweets. He's the only one that didn't have a happy tweet. His was kind of like, it was kind of like a negative tweet about his contract negotiations. So hopefully that does get done because he's going to be very, very important to that defense, maybe the most important part of that defense. So where I do agree, I'm happy to finally have Aaron Rodgers here. And I made my bets too, but I made my bets a couple weeks ago. Like before he announced it, as soon as they opened up the books for next year, I placed those bets when it was still like low down on the thing because they didn't have it wasn't good.
Oh yeah, because the odds went up like immensely since yesterday. I think they're at like plus 2,800 and then it's now plus 1,400. I think we're sixth to favored to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I got mine in when we were a lot further down. I got the AFC one and I got the Super Bowl one, so I got myself covered with that. I didn't do game stuff yet. That I'll probably get into as we get a little closer. But I definitely did the season outcome, and so I feel confident. And the good thing is I didn't have to put that much in to get that much out because, like I said, the odds were so much different at that point. But let me ask you, Caleb, who won the trade?
Well, I think
from the outside looking in too, because you're not a Jet or Packer fan, so this is a perfect thing.
I would say the Jets, and here's why. Because when it comes to sports, individual players can make a big difference, right? And of course, you always play with the idea that somebody can get injured, but you also could get hit by a bus. So there's that. That's what life is, right? But Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers is a major difference. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is older, but in this day and age in the NFL where quarterbacks cannot be touched pretty much, he's going to be fine. You know what I mean? And I think his performance as a quarterback is going to super exceed what Jordan Love can do. And this is a quarterback-centric league because the NFL is now a pass-first league, right? So the quarterback is the most important piece. Back in the day when you ran more, running backs were just as important because all you needed was somebody to give them the ball if you had a Jim Brown, right? I know I'm going back, but you know what I mean? Like
I get you.
The way the game was originally played. Now, because it's pass first, where you don't even care who your running back is for the most part until you get within the red zone. You know what I mean? Like really the game has evolved to that. I think the quarterback position is so paramount. It's so vital that the Packers are taking a big jump off from where they were at quarterback position. Now, I haven't seen Jordan Love play. Who knows? He could be a savant. He could be a Patrick Mahomes in waiting, and we didn't know. You know what I mean? So there could be that. But barring that, I think the Jets won because they have a better quarterback and they have a better team around him to allow him to perform. It's like Tom going to the Bucs. All they needed was him. They had the defense. They had weapons on offense. They just needed somebody to get them the ball half the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a major upgrade, and then you saw what happened. I'm not saying the Jets are going to just win the Super Bowl because I think the Jets have a significantly harder journey to get to those because their division is insane. It's
and
the
conference.
Bills, it's Miami, and it's a hungry and angry Patriot team, right? And the Jets haven't had anything since Broadway Joe. I'm going to give Mark Sanchez his props because he came from the USC. And, hey, they made it to the AFC Championship, right? You got to give them that. But never to the big dance. And then they fell off completely since then. So there's a lot of pressure on Aaron, but I think he knows how to handle it. And I think that the Jets won because they can win right now with that addition. Now, we're in football. Anything can happen. Injuries can come. I mean, a fumble, because that's what's great about the NFL playoffs is that it's one and done. So even the best team doesn't get a second shot. One fumble, one injury, one thing changes everything. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I believe that the Jets won this. They're in the better position to win now. Green Bay might be in a position to win in the next 3 to 5 years if Jordan Love is great. That's really what it's going to come down to. So I would say in my long soliloquy that the Jets, I think came out on top because everything else is just potential, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we potentially, you don't know who you're gonna get in the draft. You know what I mean? Like you don't know who these people will be. So I think having Aaron Rodgers, you know who he is, you know what he can do. I don't care about prima donna talk. I don't care if if people don't like him. It's all about what you do in between the time they say hike and end of play. If you're doing what you're supposed to do there, everything else will work itself out. And I think Aaron is a professional at that.
See, and I'm one of those people. I don't like Aaron for a lot of his thin skin off the field. He's got thick skin on the field. He doesn't flap under pressure at all on the field, but he does have a thin skin off the field. Which is, I'm kind of curious how that's going to mesh with New York media. It's a totally different animal than Green Bay. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work, and we'll get a little taste of it today at 2:00.
I think it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great no matter what.
It's going to be great TV either way.
Here's because it's going to be great whether he likes it or not. The more he doesn't like it, the better it is.
Oh, it'll be more juicy.
Are you kidding me? Do you know the type of New York reporters that will be trolling the hell out of A-Rod? All the time.
They already love to troll the Jets in general. Now if they get
it makes it more fun. Like imagine a Stephen A. Smith type troll, like how he trolls the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Imagine somebody like that on Aaron Rodgers, who just decides they're just going to be his troll, right? Like that's brilliant. Like it's going to draw so many eyes to New York. It's going to make the Jets the preeminent team after, dare I say, the Bronx Bombers, those New York Yankees.
Yes. And you know what, too, is I know we got the Chiefs this year. I feel like, I know they were talking about on ESPN this morning. That could very well be like the Thanksgiving night game. That could be a key. I wouldn't be surprised if you see that as the opening night. You know, the Chiefs are going to get opening night. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets are playing the Chiefs opening night. That's going to, wherever that is, you know, it's not going to be a Sunday at 4:00. You know, it's going to be on a primetime game.
Yeah, it'd be Sunday night football. And I would say that's going to get the most ratings probably for a regular season game for that season. Like, because it's the first start out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness. So to see him against that, like all the Jets games in interdivisional are going to be high rated games. People are going to watch them because now the Jets have a shot. And because they've been bad for so long, people actually want to see what can happen with the great QB that we all know is in Aaron Rodgers. So I'm excited to see it. And I'm actually rooting for Aaron Rodgers to do well. I saw stuff on First Take this morning where they were saying he wasn't even in the top 5 of best quarterbacks in the AFC. I understand that point, and I can see it, so I'm not going to say, oh, no, they're tripping. But it's Aaron Rodgers, man.
It's Aaron Rodgers, yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
I'll tell you what, though. Being a Jet fan, let me take you a little bit to my Jet. Let's go back to '99, my Jet fandom. This is probably Abby's probably too young to know this, to remember this.
Yeah, I'm a '92 baby.
All right, so you were just but you weren't a Jet fan yet. So, but
no, not yet.
It's 1998. We take the Broncos to the limit in the AFC Championship game to the point where everyone's looking at next year's Jets is the team to beat. That's the Super Bowl favorite the following year. They were everybody's pick to go to the Super Bowl. We have the opening week against the Patriots. And walking to the line of scrimmage from the huddle is Vinny Testaverde, who's set to have a big season opening week. I think it's the second or third quarter. And he tears his Achilles just walking to the line of scrimmage from the huddle. And season was over at that point. That's what it's like for me being a Jet fan. Everything's aligned. Everything's perfect. And all of a sudden, not even a contact play, an injury where he was walking to the line of scrimmage. His Achilles pops, season over. So you can understand how I feel as a Jet fan. That like
tragedy.
It just never. Being a Jet fan for me means. What was the line from that Christmas movie? Things just don't work out. That's what being a Jet fan for me is. Things just never work out.
Tragedy.
So and for me, it can't get any worse. I started liking the Jets, but they were already kind of at the bottom.
You might be the bad luck charm. You might be the reason we haven't been to the playoffs, Abby. All right, so you know what? One more thing with the Jets before we move on to something else. What do they do with the draft pick this year? Do they get another weapon for Aaron? Do they add to the defense or do they add to that line?
Offense. Your defense is already strong. You need to protect A-Rod. So if you need a lineman, get the lineman. If you need another target, a tight end. Oh, this is a very, very, very good tight end class, this particular draft. So you know how important a tight end is in today's passing first league. He needs weapons. Get him weapons, or make sure he's protected so he has time, because you know he is a little older. You know he's not as mobile as he once was. All of that. So you gotta protect him. So if your line isn't strong, get one of these offensive linemen coming out. And if it's not that's a need. Get him another offensive weapon, another receiver or tight end immediately. You want him to be able to stretch that field.
Yes, for sure. Abby, you're the GM of the Jets. What are you drafting?
I
got number 15
first
overall.
of all, Joe Douglas works wonders. So he's probably going to do a bunch of trading in the draft. He may trade back.
I think he's going to trade back too.
Yeah, and I'm still all for fixing that offensive line, because the thing is, it's still shaky. Like, I know we re-signed Connor McGovern. I still wouldn't mind drafting a center.
I went to center from Michigan, from Minnesota, Schmidt.
Yeah. Is it Schmitz? Yeah.
Schmitz, yep.
Yeah.
But you can get him in the second. You can get him with that second pick.
No, and I know Ben Jones has been kind of in the mix, but things have been idle with that whole conversation. I mean, Mekhi Becton's back. Dude hasn't played. So it's still, I'm all for getting an offensive lineman, offensive tackle, because he's going to need protection. Our receivers, we could use another. I've kind of switched. I don't know what's going to happen with Corey Davis. He still may be in like a trade talk, but right now it looks like we're going to include him in our core receivers. But I mean, like I said, Joe Douglas may still be working that into some little trade agreement, because I still
might see a draft day trade. You might see him.
Yeah, and he's valuable.
Friday.
You know what I mean? He's inconsistent, but he's valuable. He made some clutch plays throughout the course of the season, especially in the Minnesota game. Some big fourth downs there. But yeah, I'm still for offensive line. He's going to need protection. I mean, the thing is, we still have a bunch of needs. I still think we need on our defense, we need a safety still.
I agree.
We need a good linebacker. So we're gonna see that at some point. But like I said, it's just gonna see where everyone falls and who's gonna still be on the board at that point in time. And with like even the Texans, from what I've been seeing, they're not sold on CJ Stroud. So I think that's still gonna, they may take a defensive lineman, and that will take more people off the board before we even get to our number. Is it 15?
Yeah.
Are we number 15? Yeah. So it's just going to be depending on who's on the board. But this is a big defensive class this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that it is. But yeah, I think that's a smart assessment, Abby, because I definitely understand strengthening the line first when it comes to the league, but also the safety concerns. But the Jets everybody's been talking about how good the defense is. So because you're on such a short window with A-Rod, like you're only getting 2 seasons. You know what I mean? In all actuality. So it's like, get them those weapons and just pray to defense. You know what I mean? It performs at the level everybody expects it to.
Right.
And at minimum, you build that offense up too, so that way in 1 or 2 years when he leaves, whoever you're going to be putting into that spot in 1 or 2 years is coming to a stocked kitchen and has all the groceries ready to go.
Exactly.
And you know what? With Aaron Rodgers as quarterback, the defense hopefully is not going to be on the field all that much. That's not going to be 3 and out.
It will make the defense even better.
Some rest, which I'm hopefully that means they're staying healthy, no injuries, things like that. So.
No, that's a major thing. That matters, like time on the field, because even no matter how good your team is, your defense is, if you're on the field 60% of the game, that's very taxing. That's yeah. So I get it.
And you know what? And I get wanting to have another weapon, and that's exactly why I would have loved to have had OBJ for the 1 season.
Well, you know what the issue was? OBJ wanted that money. So
I get it.
Gave him $15 million guaranteed. The Jets couldn't do that.
Yeah, we weren't going to do that.
Yeah. But I tell you this, if the Jets really want to, they could be, and I know he said he didn't want to play for the Jets, and we had this conversation. But Aaron Rodgers changes things, because I don't want to play for the Jets until Joe Montana's there. Joe Montana, well, now it's not the Jets. It's the Jets. You know what I mean? Like it changes everything. And an offensive weapon like Hopkins? Are you kidding me? Just alone, it's now 11 against 9 because 2 have to be on him at all times. Mm-hmm. You know what that does to everybody else? Oh my God.
Garrett Wilson will be unstoppable.
It's a field that it's ridiculous. So even just thinking in that way, it just opens up your field. It changes everything with a weapon like that. Now, I don't know how much he would cost, and it may not be worth it to give him, but when you got a shot to win, you got to take it today. You got to take it. You know what I mean? Do you know what a Super Bowl would do for the Jets?
You have no idea.
Changed my whole life.
You have no idea.
There's 2 Super Bowls that would really almost stop the world if these teams won. The Jets, and everybody knows, and I hate them, but the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you, those teams win a Super Bowl, it is, yeah. So again, I would lean on more of the side of trying to win now. Mm-hmm. And if I got to make now, if the offensive line is weak, I'm absolutely feeling that because if you can't throw the ball, it don't matter who you got out there. We saw that in the Bucks Chiefs Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes ran more yards trying to get away than they had offensive progression. You know what I mean? Yep. So because he didn't have a line. So they fixed that and now they win a Super Bowl. I think the line goes first. So use the pick to get a lineman. But then if you can get a Hopkins there or something like that, it just changes everything. And I think he would listen now because Aaron Rodgers is there.
I agree.
I really do.
And listen, we're going to have cuts. There's going to be cuts that are going to come after the draft. So there's going to be people that we're going to get cut that might just be salary cap cuts. That might not really be, not good anymore. They just might be salary cuts that we're going to be able to go and take a look at. And we're going to have people listen to us now because of someone like Aaron Rodgers on this team. So there's that. But I'll tell you what, I personally would get, if Ben Jones is out of our reach now. I know there's the familiarity with some of the coaching staff that used to be in Tennessee. But if he's not reachable now for us, again, I think you have a future All-Pro center in Minnesota right now. Not the Vikings, but the college. The Schmitz kid, I would bring him in. I can get him in the second round. In the first round, I think I do. I'm willing to try this offensive line. I think Becton looks like he's in great shape. You still have Dwayne Brown. You still, Max Mitchell. When did we draft? I forget when we drafted Max Mitchell last year. Was it the 4th round? But he looked good when he played last year until he had the blood clot issue. He's a solid tackle. Now, would I be comfortable with him as my starter? No, but he's depth. He's a depth piece. We have 3 decent tackles. Laken Tomlinson, you're not going to replace Laken Tomlinson. He's only in the 2nd year of a big contract. He's here to stay, and I think he'll be better this year because he's better than he played last year. I think he'll be better this year going forward. And AVT will be back, and I trust AVT to be one of the best linemen in football. The part where we're weakest, and I think we signed McGovern just for depth. I really don't think McGovern's going to be our starter week 1, or at least that's not the plan. I think the plan is to go and draft the center, and I would be very surprised if they don't draft the center in the 2nd round. But that first round, you guys are going to disagree with me. I still won't branch that safety. I think you pop that kid in as a safety. You have by far the best young secondary in the league. And you know what? Young secondary, what do? They make your pass rush even better because the quarterback's gonna be sitting there with nowhere to throw the ball, and he's gonna create more time for the defensive line to get over there. So I would do that. And that's where I would go with those first 2 picks. I might even trade down. If I know I can get branched a little bit later in the 20s, I might trade back a few picks. Mm-hmm. And then, and what receiver help? I think you're going to have a chance to get more receiver help through free agency, through once we get into training camp and there's some cuts. DeAndre Hopkins, I have a feeling I think the Cardinals will finally cut him if they don't have a trade partner. And at that point, why would you want to trade with him if you can get him? He's overpaid right now. As good as he is, he's a little overpaid right now just because he's not as good as he was when he signed that contract. So if you can get him to get cut and then go pick him up on a lot less money.
Like a Caleb.
No, I agree. I just feel it's more like Randy Moss not being like how he used to be, right? When he was in
I feel you. When he went
and then all of a sudden goes to New England.
I agree
and
with
is
that.
back being the number 1 receiver in the NFL. That's what I think this is. That could very well be. He got injured, right? And then he got in trouble for the PED. I don't know if it was steroid, but the PED thing, right? Okay, I don't care really about that. I don't think he's a dirty, that's dumb. So I just think he hasn't had it. And 2 years of that, he hasn't played. Him going with, I'm telling you, I think it could be a breakout season for that dude.
It could be. And especially, too, let's face it, the Arizona Cardinals right now are a mess. So it's one of those things where it's like, why wouldn't you want to get out of that? Kyler's hurt. We don't even know if he is the guy. They're overpaying. They're probably overpaying for Kyler.
Oh, they definitely did. But it's just a quarterback market.
Yeah. He's in the right place at the right time.
You know, say Danny Dimes.
What a time to be alive.
$1 million guaranteed.
I mean, there you go. I
I would have never given him that. No. But you can't. You have to. What are you going to do?
You were in the spot where you had no choice, because if he would have went somewhere and gotten a little better somewhere else, the media would have killed. That could have cost someone their job.
Yeah, but he wouldn't.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. Listen, he only threw 15 touchdowns this year, and he's getting $40 million.
Listen,
for 15 touchdowns.
I mean, come on, man. The record is like 50 something. Touchdowns in a season.
I know, and he got 15. We still remember the time he had the breakaway run for like 80 yards and ended up tripping and fumbling, right? So
they have more regular season games than he had touchdowns.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, but you know what? Let's break. You know, let's take a little hiatus from the NFL. We'll come back to that. Let's talk a little NBA with these games last night.
Word.
Hawks hanging around, beat Celtics 119 to 117. It is 3-2. Caleb, you go first.
I have to dive into this because I was talking bad about the Hawks. I was talking about how they were dysfunctional. Internally, they weren't working. Nobody likes Trey. Trey don't like anybody else. The series is over. It's done.
You brought a little love yesterday.
I was wrong. Okay? It happens to the best of us. Those Hawks are scrappy. And let me tell you, I never said Ice Trey couldn't ball. You saw him yesterday. You saw all this. That shot he hit, I mean, that's ice cold. What was? But you know what? I think there's something to be said when you play with no F's given, because they're supposed to lose anyway. So there was really no pressure. So he just pulled up and knocked it down like it was practice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that helped them. Do I think they'll win the season? I mean, the series? No. Mm-mm. Emphatically no. But they showed a lot. I think there's some promise there in Atlanta. Maybe they can figure something out with Ice Trey, because they're not supposed to be doing what they're doing with Boston right now. So with that being said, I think they're a little bit better off than what I assumed, that they absolutely can get over those issues and come together to play for a game that they easily could have just been like, hey, it don't matter, we're done anyway. And they did it. So that says a lot to me. So big respects to the Atlanta Hawks. And I apologize for my presumptions.
But, here's the thing, though. As big of a game Trey had is he actually got a little help finally yesterday. Collins had 22 points. Bogdanovich added another 18.
But that's my point.
And they were short Murray.
Yeah, they were together. Like, they were helping. That's what I'm saying. It was like they put the issues aside and said, but let's go play this game. Like, let's not let them just do us like this. Like, that is enough. Like, when you can start there, now you can start having a conversation. Like, they can really figure it out, because I do think I always liked Ice Trey. I think he's a baller. Yes, I understand Luka is Luka, right? But that guy is no scrub, and he can ball. And I think on a team, he can be a very huge contributing factor. Like, he's Jalen Brunson type, in the sense of Jalen Brunson is more of a dog, but Ice Trey can give you just as many points, and he's a better outside shooter. You know what I mean? And I just think, I think he can do the same. Like how the Knicks are getting Jalen Brunson in, really advance that team and like put them forward. I think Ice Trey could do the same thing on another team, and in Atlanta, if they can get a little bit more firepower and more consistency in the coaching. And all the way from the top down, I think they need it.
And you saw he hit that three. It looked like it was very Steph-like, that three, right? It was a step back. It was like from about half court, almost felt like.
It was a 29-footer.
It was a hell of a shot. Now, here's my question though: did the Celtics lose that game, or did the Atlanta Hawks go out and win that game? Because I'll tell you what, the Celtics is it. And here's another question: here's a follow up to it. Are they bored right now? Because there's a lot of bad penalties in that. They made a lot of bad penalties in that game. They had a lot of bad turnovers in that game. Are they just bored, or is that the Hawks making them make mistakes?
Abby, you want to take that, or you want me?
No, you take it. I'm like,
okay. So I'm gonna just say this real quick. here's the thing. That's been the Celtics. That's why they're not champions now.
Yep.
Because something always goes wrong with that team. I don't know what it is about that team, but they always just start crumbling from the inside. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? It was last season in the playoffs. Like, they were winning series that it shouldn't have been that close. Like that thing with the Heat and all of that. Like, I'm telling you, and then for them to just lose the Golden State like that, there's something with that team where they panic, or they get, like you said, bored, whatever you want to call it, but they start crumbling from the inside, and that will be their Achilles heel, right? They may get lucky that Miami could end up beating the Bucks, and that, oh gosh, we'll discuss that later. But be that as it may, the Celtics always got something wrong, and I'm telling you, they're going back to Atlanta. If they ball out, if Atlanta balls out and takes it back to Boston for a Game 7, wow, man, wow.
Could you imagine
them to win? But I'm just saying, it's going to look real bad on Boston. Like their odds will drop. Like how the Jets' odds went up, theirs will drop.
I'll tell you what, it probably won't happen. I think Milwaukee will figure it out, and I think Boston will figure it out. But could you imagine if
they're going to win 3 straight?
I think they can.
3 in a row. No, they have to.
I know they have to.
But will they? 3 in a row?
If you would ask me, I think it's a better than 50% chance that they can win 3 in a row.
Oh!
I'm not saying they're going to do it. I would give them a 75% chance that they're going to probably knock off the next 3.
Wow.
I don't want them to.
Man.
It's an easier road for my Knicks, so I don't want them to. But I just, you know what? I've seen enough of Giannis to know that that he's just too tough. And you know what? Last game he came back, and you know what? The team was still the team was a little out of sync.
Yeah,
they're good enough to fix what was bothering them in Game 5 or in Game 4 rather, to come back in Game 5 and do something different. So I do think I'm not saying they will. I'm saying they can. But could you imagine if both number 1 and 2 seeds are out?
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
now
that
the
would
play-in tournament, which I love, will never go away.
I'll tell you what, this year proved to me that this play-in tournament is here to stay for the pure fact that the teams that played in are making noise in this tournament. So
wait, did you see that they double booked State Farm Arena?
Did they really?
Yes, with the Atlanta Hawks and the Janet Jackson concert.
Because they thought the Hawks were going to be done.
So I'm very interested to see what they do with that.
Maybe she could do the halftime show.
Well, you know exactly.
Just as long as nothing pops out. No Justin
it.
Timberlake.
I didn't see that, but that I obviously the Hawks are going to get precedent.
Obviously.
So I feel bad for the people that don't care about the Hawks that really want to go see Janet Jackson, but they may have to wait a little bit to see that. But also too, and to touch on the Celtics a little bit, and I've said it before. To me, Tatum is the biggest fraud superstar in the league. I get he's a superstar, but he is the softest superstar in the league. Only 19, maybe a good hairline. But we're not talking about. I mean, when he's going up against like KD and LeBron, it's obviously he's gonna have the better hairline. But 19 points, 8 of 21 shooting from the field, 1 of 10 from the 3-point line. Tatum is, to me, when the game's the biggest, Tatum just is not there, man.
Hey, listen, that was my issue last. I'm telling, that was my point. I don't know what it is, but they always do this.
Yep.
Always. They should be done with Atlanta, resting, getting ready for the next, right? But they're not. Guess who is? The Suns.
Yep.
They're chilling right now. They're at practice, getting ready, getting massages, getting ready for the next one. Guess who else is? Jokic.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Relaxing, watching video, getting ready. Like, these teams are getting it done, and Boston is like, it's like, what are you doing? The Bucks got to fight for their lives, so that's different.
But even worse for Boston is, guess who they're gonna have to play in the second round is sitting home, relaxing and chilling right now and getting healthy is Philly.
Oh, and you don't want that.
Yep.
You don't want that.
The best thing Philly ever did was sweep the Nets, because now they got time to heal up and get rested for whoever they're going to have next.
And Boston's going to be tired because the Hawks ain't going to go away easy. Boston has to win this next game. Like, just shut it down. Don't give them life and force a Game 7. That's going to be bad.
Yeah, for sure. All right, next game. Nuggets close out the series 4-1, beat the Timberwolves 112-109. Not surprised there. But again, Towns fouling out. Is it mean Towns is in foul trouble every single game. Fouled out again. I think it was the third time he fouled out in this series. They could have used him down the stretch. This was a close game down the stretch. They could have used him. Caleb, what's your take on Towns and being able to stay in a game?
Man, look, I get it. He was like, I'm just leaving it all on the floor, baby. I'm just gonna throw the dice and let the chips fall where they may. Like, I don't mind the aggression. I understand your point. It's like, your team would need you, could need you. But he didn't know it was gonna be that. He's playing in the moment. I don't mind it. If there's dumb fouls, that's one thing. But you trying to control your area, playing aggressive, I get it. Now, would it have been great for him not to? Yeah, but I'm not gonna come down on him for it, as if he's doing it on purpose. You know what I mean? He's not doing it on purpose. He's out there trying to win. So that I'll give him. But it does suck when you're at least. I mean, what would you say? Is he the best on the team or number two? Is he the 1 or 2 option?
I think Anthony Edwards is the number 1 option.
Okay, so he's number 2 because that's as far as it will go. So losing your number 2 guy is rough when you're fighting for your life. But think about it. Do you think they had a shot to do not about winning that game? I'm talking about winning the series.
No.
No.
No. They were lucky to even get the one they got, the one win they got.
I wanted it to be a sweep.
Because it was such a boring series too. It's
exactly.
Get this one over with. I'd rather watch better basketball. But Jokic again, big time game, triple double, 28 points, 17 rebounds, 12 assists, all great numbers all around. And you know what, Jamal Murray is the guy. You know what, I'm mistaken with Jamal Murray, man. I always looked at him as he's not. He's a good player. He had a dynamite series, man. I don't know what his stats for the series are, but 35 points last night. He shows up. I know he had some injury history, but this year he showed up. He played, and I'm starting to feel more like he might be a superstar, not just a good player, but a fantastic player in the league. So I'm starting to kind of turn around on that. But I'll tell you what, could Minnesota have made this series any trouble if they would have pulled a win out last night?
No.
Just prolonging the inevitable?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because the Nuggets are too strong of a team. Just too strong.
Yeah. I think their Nuggets might be better than I even thought. I don't trust the Nuggets because they always have decent teams.
Old school Spurs. They're just good and they're fun. They play together as a unit and they don't have to be pretty. They play ugly, style basketball.
Yep.
The only spark is Murray. Murray gives you a spark because he'll do, you know what I mean? But outside of that.
Because even Jokic isn't exciting to watch. He's just really good. Even he can be kind of bored sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
a great analogy.
You get bored, but you look up and he's got 38 points, 20 rebounds, 15 assists.
Although his passing, he's pretty electric with his passing. His passing's pretty exciting. I'll give him that. But
because he's a big man doing it. That's the only reason.
Yeah, he looks like the old school Jason Williams, white chocolate, trying to pass the ball sometimes, right? Who doesn't love him? Not the other Jason Williams, the one from the Nets.
I know.
White chocolate Jason Williams. All right.
Yeah.
Suns knock out the Clippers 136-130. Abby, you go first. You're so excited.
Rally the valley. Rally the valley. You know what? That game had me nervous. The whole, we were up by 20 points, and 5 minutes left. I was wanting to chew off my fingernails because I was like, what are we doing? And it got way too close. And finally, with a minute left, I started to ease out. I had posted, I think on Instagram, the score, and we were kind of blowing them out. And my cousin's from LA. She's a Clippers fan. And she was like, ugh. And I was like, there's still 5 minutes left. And thank God that I said that and didn't start immediately, kind of saying all my, stuff, talking shit essentially. Because I'm it got really close. I learned this morning Kawhi Leonard, I think he has a torn meniscus. So.
Yeah, we found out this morning.
Yeah, just unfortunate for him. Booker had a great game yesterday.
Did a great series.
Yes.
Did he average 40 for the series? I feel like
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
but
he almost just missed not to cut you off. I'm sorry, but missed a triple double, two rebounds short of a triple double. Besides, so.
Yeah, but yesterday, good game. I feel like they played perfectly as a unit. They still need to work on the turnovers because there was just stupid turnovers. But Honestly, though, I'm surprised that maybe I'm underestimating the Clippers, but I'm surprised they did so well without Kawhi and without Paul George because they still made it a game to watch. Right. I mean, we were I thought it was just going to be once we were up by 20 points, I was kind of like, this is done deal. And the fact that they brought it together, I mean, I just feel like I underestimated them a little. But obviously, on to Denver next, game 1 here in Phoenix, Footprint Center, Saturday. I mean, Phoenix is lit.
Well, and Westbrook yesterday, right? He looked so good for a couple of games, and then he just turned into the bad. There's always it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Westbrook. There's games he looks like he's one of the best players in the league, and then there's other games where he just looks like a guy that's just past his prime. Yesterday was one of those bad days. 3 of 18, 1 of 6 from 3-point, 14 points total.
I expected him to carry the team a bit more.
I did too, but you know what? He's already carrying a lot of weight for what was expected of him to begin with. He should have been the guy. He was supposed to be the 3rd or 4th guy coming in. So, and who's also heating up at the right time? He's starting to gel. He's starting to fit in at the right time. Is KD is just getting. You can see the progression of him starting to feel more comfortable in Phoenix. He had a couple 30-point games in a row now. Ayton had double-double, 21 points, 12 rebounds. Might have been his best game of the series. So, I mean, they're starting to hit on all cylinders, which is what I think a lot of people were afraid of. Where a lot of people say, they're a typical 4 seed. They're more like a 2 seed, maybe even a 1 seed in this league right now because, they're getting everything together now. There was thought in the beginning of the series where we thought the Clippers were going to be able to hang tough. That we say, no, maybe they won't be able to have a chance to get it going. But as you see in the series prolong, they started getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Now, there's no depth there, so how long can they maintain it for? They're not going to be able to take the rest that they need because the depth isn't there on the bench. But if they keep playing like this and they're just going to get better and better and better, I think the league really needs to be put on notice.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. If they can play like they did yesterday every game, I mean, I was getting a little nervous because they really, when they started off the series, didn't look as strong as I've seen. And when they lost that first game at home, I was like, oh, this is going to give us a lot more trouble. But I'm glad they finally pulled it together because Denver is going to be a tough matchup for them. And okay, so Denver, I pay attention to all the Arizona. I went to U of A, pay attention to all the Arizona players. So I like Aaron Gordon. So it'll be fun to see Aaron Gordon and DeAndre Ayton kind of matching up, former Arizona players. So, but obviously I'm still going Suns all the way.
Yeah. So to the Westbrook point, you were 1,000% spot on. He was never supposed to be the number 1 guy. He had to be the number 1 guy. He can't be. And you saw what happened when he feels, not that he had to be, but when he feels he needs to fulfill that role, it's too much. He's past that part in his career, but he's a fantastic 3 or 4. You know what I mean? Option because of what he can do and what he can still do. But losing Kawhi was a major blow for him. So, kudos, they did it. And that shows not only that team, like their fortitude, but Ty Lue is a fantastic coach to bring them, to coach them like that, to losing those guys and still make Abby sweat is a good thing. Now, here's what I will say. Now the playoffs start for the Suns. Now, now we're gonna see. Like, I hear you talking about KD gelling and everybody. Yep. Right up until we're gonna see now. We're gonna see because now they're at a disadvantage. It's interesting. They have the advantage, and their 3 best players are better than Denver's 3 best players. I think so. Jokic, Murray, and whoever you want to put in there. Porter Jr., somebody else, I don't know. Give them their 3. It's not comparable to me to KD, Booker, and Chris Paul, right? In my opinion. But they got backup where the Suns don't, right? Like it's like they got bigger homies that they can call to come in and help them more than the Suns got. So what happens is over time you get tired. KD is averaging, I think they said 43.8 and Booker's at like 40.5 or something like that minutes a game. A game? You know what I mean? Like, and he's coming off injury. So what I mean is he hasn't been playing all season where you're in that as we would say, fighting shape. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see how this is played. I think it's going to come down to coaching. I really do, because the players' game acumen and basketball IQ, I think, are very, very close. I think Chris Paul IQ is higher than Murray. So I think Chris Paul wins there. I think Jokic IQ is way higher than Ayton. Ayton, it's not even a comparison. So now it's Jokic that's running that's the operation, and it's him, Chris Paul, and KD. Basketball IQ. Not that Booker doesn't have it, but Booker don't have it like KD and
I agree.
Paul. So it's gonna be an interesting chess match, which is why I think the coaching is going to be paramount in this one. Being able to plug in certain plays and certain schemes to gain the advantage, because these games I expect them to be close. I don't see who can guard KD. I don't see who can guard Booker in that way, right? Murray is going to have his knee is still an issue. So, depending on how Chris Paul gives it to him and stuff, I think this is going to be good, but it's going to be a real test for the Suns. If the Suns make it out of this, I think they will be really primed for a NBA championship run. Mm-hmm. If they can beat the Nuggets, I think they take the West if they win this series. I really do. It don't matter who they play in the Western Conference Finals. I don't care if it's the Lakers, Kings, Warriors. I think they win if they can beat this team. I really do.
Mm-hmm. You know what? It's gonna. I don't know, man. It's right now we're getting to the spot where the competition is going to get really strict and really fierce going forward. You wipe out something like, listen, the Clippers, they hung tough, right? Even though they didn't really pull out the wins they needed to pull out, they hung tough for being as shorthanded as they were. We're going to see a whole different animal the second round. It's going to be not even comparable to the first round. The teams are just better, which is obviously that's how it always is, right? But especially in the West is going to be a scary second round for teams, because this teams are the quality teams that are going to get sent home in the second round that really would, if they were in the East, might still be sticking around. The second round for me is a huge question mark. Abby, what do you see as the outcome?
With what?
with the second round matchups.
Oh, I know. I completely agree with you. I think teams essentially get more hungry. And I know we're going to talk about it here in a little, but there's pressure on some of these teams to come out of this and win and get to the finals and whatnot. It's funny. Do you think the West is better than the East? Because I kind of thought the East was a little better than the West.
I think the East is top heavy.
Yeah. Same.
I think the West is better all around. I think the East is but the funny thing is, that top heavy portion of the East is having trouble right now. The Celtics and the Bucks are the two teams that you thought, okay, those are the teams to beat in the league, maybe, but they're having trouble getting out of the first round. I feel like 1 through 8, the West is just more solid 1 through 8. But I would say they're probably the top 2 teams I have coming out of the East.
I mean, when I was watching the Celtics game yesterday, I was kind of like, the
unimpressed?
The Suns can beat them. No,
Absolutely.
I was like, it looked like a team that they could beat, and they didn't look as scary anymore. So initially,
they are a flawed team. Let's be honest. They are a flawed team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree. I think the West is better all the way around. I don't want to put the Celtics in the same boat as the Bucks, because the Bucks are down 3-1.
Yes.
Celtics are still winning their series. They're still ahead. So they should pull it out, but it shouldn't be, the Hawks shouldn't have this breath of life that they have. You know what I mean? So that's what I'll say there. But I think anybody can come out the West now, because it really is going to start coming down to strategy, like scheme, the coaching scheme, but then your individual players. I mean, those Lakers are playing without any pressure, because they weren't supposed to be there anyway. Nobody's expecting them to win. So you give that to a LeBron James and team, man. Like, don't nobody want to see the Lakers in the playoffs. Like right now, no. And Memphis they can win tonight, but they're going to lose. They're not going to win this series. So the Lakers are next up. And it's like, could you imagine a Golden State Lakers playoff series right now? That would be huge.
Yeah,
and even Lakers and the Kings, that would be huge. You know what I mean? So like it's gonna be nice. And yes, I'm counting Memphis out. I know I'm just assuming yes, I am. They'll win tonight. I'm betting that they would win tonight. They're not gonna win this series. Like, highly doubt it. They gotta win 3 in a row. Nah, I don't think they got it. I really don't. If Dylan Brooks would be half the man that he talks like he is, they might have had a shot.
Well, and you know what? And that's the thing too is, you know what? Shame on Brooks and even Moran, who I love. John Moran, don't get me wrong, I love him. I think he's one of my favorite players in the league right now to watch. But you know what? You want to talk all the stuff you talk early in the round. Don't dodge the media at the end. It only looks worse. It looks like you look thin-skinned and weak. Just talk to the media. You get, you gotta you put these checks out there. You gotta cash these. The press is gonna cash these checks. You can either be there present for it or not. But you look weak when you're not. At least be there to answer the questions. They dodged town as soon as the press came in to talk to them. They got to be able to like have a little thin skin, especially if you're gonna do as much talking as Dylan Brooks has done. You got to stick around and talk to the press, man.
Yeah, and play harder. How you letting LeBron drive on you and getting it off the glass? You go in front of him and take the charge, or try to get one, like he did with Ja. Like go and do it. Like it's time. All that talk, you gotta show it then. But hey, it is what it is. But I think they're gonna be going home. I really do. And I think the Lakers Kings, Lakers Warriors series that could be next. Whoo, that's gonna be
fun.
Gonna be crazy, and that would be something for the lip. That's wow. Yeah, man, that would be. I would love. That's gonna be great. Like any one of those teams against the Lakers is a phenomenal series. Like I'll be looking forward to every single one of those games.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Let's talk a little bit about who's got the most pressure on them. Which team would you say right now has the most pressure in the playoffs on them as a team right now? Would it be the Bucks?
Yeah, because they're down 3-1, and they were expected to come out of the East, them and or Boston. They're not supposed to lose to Miami, a hobbled Miami at that. Mm-hmm. Then it's going to look like one man beat you. You know what I mean? Super buckets. You know what I mean? Like it looks like you guys couldn't stop him. You guys are supposed to be a defensive team, and you couldn't stop. So one man can just get 56, 58 points on you to win. Like, it's insane. So I think there's a lot of pressure on the Bucks. I think if the Hawks win the next, that pressure immediately goes to the Boston Celtics because it's going to start bringing up those old ghosts, I think, for them. And then in the West, the team that has pressure, the Suns have pressure, but not as much as Golden State, being the defending champions, playing against an upstart team that's only 90 minutes from you. It's going to look like, you guys are long in the tooth. Looks like that it's over for you, sort of thing. So I think out of the West, it's the Suns and the Warriors, with more on the Warriors. And in the East, it's the Bucks and the Celtics, but more on the Bucks as of now because they're the ones that can go home immediately. The Hawks need a miracle, basically, to pull this out versus the Bucks. The Bucks just one bad game and they're going home.
Mm-hmm.
Abby, who do you got as the team with the most pressure?
I mean, it's funny in general. I think any of the teams who are in the playoff game or in the play-in games or in the playoffs in general have pressure on them. I think a lot of certain players have more pressure, but I'm going to say the Suns, obviously, because they made the deal, the crazy deal for KD, gave up all these first-round picks. And I mean, they went all in. So if this doesn't work out and they don't figure it out, I mean, it's going to look like we can't have this look like a bust. We can't have this be the Brooklyn Nets.
I agree. See, now I think they'll be fine going forward. I put more pressure on Memphis. And the reason why I put it on more on Memphis is they're a 2 seed. They're down 3-1, so they still have a shot, right? But they're doing so much talking. I think that's where I listen. I also don't put that much pressure on the Bucks because I actually just think the Bucks are going to be able to come back. I think the Bucks can. I think there's a better shot of the Bucks coming back than the Grizzlies coming back. But also the Bucks aren't running their mouths down 3-1. They're not the ones that are talking a lot of crap to their opponents. But the Memphis Grizzlies are. The Memphis Grizzlies calling people old. I don't respect you unless you score 40 on me. He doesn't have to score 40. Guess what? They're still a 3-1, buddy. So I would put more pressure on the Grizzlies with maybe Dylan Brooks, because Dylan Brooks has had a horrendous series. He hasn't even been good at all. With him being the main guy to have the most pressure on. But that's where I think most pressure is on them.
Well, that's normal. See, I grew up in Southern California. So in Southern California, there's a big thing with gang culture, right? And when you grow up out here, you learn about gangs real quick and easy, but you also learn about the temperaments. And sometimes there's gangsters, but then there's one small dude that's from the hood, that's the biggest talker, the littlest dude running his mouth, or a dude in a wheelchair trying to bang on you, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then as soon as something pops, they running around and then they trying to get their big homies to come. That's what it's like with Dylan Brooks. It's like, yo, you over there running your mouth about all this and trying to, come on, guys, they coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We in trouble. It's like, nah, man, look, like if you're gonna talk, you gotta step up. And they haven't. They're young. They're young, and that's another reason why they're talking and doing all that. They from the Instagram nation. You know what I mean? They're from that generation where you just talk mess without thinking of any sort of repercussion. You will actually get offended when somebody calls you out. How dare you? Are you trash talking, shaming me? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And all of that. It's like so they're not prepared for the realness. And you know, I think Ja's injury to his hand is a factor because, you know what I mean? Like, it's his shooting hand. I think that. And then I always told you the missing of Steven Adams and Mr. Clark in the middle.
Adams is the biggest portion of it. But I can't use Moran's injury anymore because he put up 45 since he hurt the hand.
That's true.
So I can't let that be I can't let them say, oh, well, you know, he hurt his hand. Well, he put up 45. What does that mean? He would have put
no, you're
60?
right. You're right.
So that's the reason why I don't let that affect it. What really affects me is that they ran their mouths so much early on, and it's like now what? Like, 'cause I really feel like after they won game 2, I think they started feeling themselves a little bit. They're like, all right, yeah, now everything's back to normal. We lost game 1, we weren't ready for it. Now everything's back to normal. Now we're gonna steamroll. I really think they thought that, and they got punched in the mouth again game 3. And you know, they didn't know what to say. They're leaving the locker room without talking to the press because they don't know what to do. And then they got hit with the left on game 3 or the right on game 4. And I think tonight we can actually see the knockout punch. But what do you guys think? Do you think the Lakers close it out tonight?
I don't think so. I think Memphis pulls it out tonight. I think they're just gonna go. They're gonna go at it. I really, really do. But if those Lakers come to play, the Lakers can absolutely because LeBron in his experience. He knows when you get a team on the ropes, you go get them. You don't give them life. Yep. You know what I mean? So the Lakers are going to come out to try to end it tonight. He's not trying to win at Crypto Arena. He don't care about that. So they're going to come out to play. But I think Memphis will be ready. That crowd is going to be hyped. You know, it's hard to win in Memphis. I think they had the best regular season home record.
I believe so. You're right.
This season, right? So they can get it together. But it's only one game. They would have to win 2 more after that. And that I don't see happening.
It's gonna be tough sledding for sure. It definitely is. So we'll see. But all right. So Abby says the Suns, who it's like, you know what? You just cry, baby. And you guys, there should be no pressure on the Suns. You guys,
but there is, and because Abby's point about players, she said there's actually more pressure on individual players.
I get it.
With her 1,000%.
Well, and I think Jokic has a huge pressure on him.
Oh,
I mean, two-time MVP and nothing to show for it. Nothing.
I agree. But I would say, I would say that pressure for the Suns just because of the trade. Fair?
Yes.
Yes and no, because they've never won a championship.
That's true.
But that's where I put the pressure on the Denver Nuggets because they've always seemed to be one of these top seeds and never really able to get it together to get over the hump. At least Phoenix has been to a couple of finals. They've been to a finals, 2 years ago they were in the finals?
Yeah.
So they've been to a couple of finals in recent history. I feel like Denver never gets over that. But I agree with you, Abby, as far as if with that trade, you bringing KD in really sets the bar a lot higher than it would have been before.
And you were complaining about the Jets giving up a bunch of picks. No, that's what the Suns did. They gave up 4 first-round picks.
But we can agree, first-round picks are more valuable in the NFL than in the NBA.
That's true.
So yeah. So there's that. And then again, I agree with Caleb to an extent too with the Bucks. The Bucks do have some pressure on them. I don't look at it the same way just because I really do believe in Giannis. I do believe he's going to get that team ready to play, and I could see them listen, teams come back down 3-1. It happens.
No,
and they're just as good a team as anybody to do it. So that's the reason why I look at it that way.
All right.
The reason why I don't look at it that way with the Grizzlies is because I feel like the Lakers just got too much veteran presence there to let that slip away. I feel like.
I agree.
So that's my thing on that.
I agree.
But all right, so let's get back into some of these headlines. Paolo Banchero named Rookie of the Year.
We called that one.
I would say we all agree with that one, I would imagine.
Yeah, we called that one.
98 out of 100 first place votes. I think just Walker Kessler got the other 2 votes, and then but coming in second was Jalen Williams. Not even close though, right? Like he's the unanimous choice, I think, for us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Didn't he average like 25 points a game or 20 points a game?
It was 20. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here we go. Right here. 20 points. Right on the money.
Yeah.
20 points. So, so there you go. I mean, listen, the kid's got a hell of a future. I would love to see him stay in Orlando. I know we had this discussion before too.
Yeah.
I'd love to stay in Orlando and help build something special there. I will be an Orlando local probably within the year. So I want to see some good basketball when I'm down there. You know,
there you go.
I'm still going to be a Knicks fan, but I'm going to want to go to some games and see a good team. So I would love to see them build that up down there a little bit more. So there we go. There's that. And then also De'Aaron Fox looks like he's going to play in Game 5. It looks like he wasn't going to play at one point. Now he's saying, no, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm playing.
Absolutely.
Caleb, is it a mistake, though? Is he going to be injured, De'Aaron Fox? Is it worth putting him in with that injury?
Yeah, because first of all, okay, once you say I'm playing, the media, us, everybody can make excuses for you, but you can't. Once you say you're playing, and that's it, and that's all, right? So there's that. I'm old school, right? I'm from the generation where people hurt like I saw Kobe Bryant play with 2 broken fingers, and he would just tape them. And played like damn near the whole season like that, right? So I know you can play with a broken finger. Is it comfortable? I'm assuming no. Does it hurt? I'm assuming yeah. But you got to do what you got to do. Your team needs you, right? So I applaud Fox for playing because he's from the generation where if it's too warm in the arena, I'm not playing. You know what I'm saying? No. So that was one of my biggest knocks against LeBron when he was on the Cavs and they were playing Boston, and he was talking about, it was too hot. I couldn't come out. I had cramps. It was too hot. I'm like, you get paid too much money to be talking about it's hot. You know what I mean? But again, that's this generation of players. So I'm ecstatic to know that Fox is playing because he knows without him, the team is dead in the water. They might as well hang the series up if he's not there. He's that vital to that team. You know what I mean? He's their spark plug, and it would have been over if he would have not played. So I'm glad he's playing. I think I'm really looking forward to this best out of 3, and may the best team win.
Abby, do you think he can make a difference even though he has the injury?
Oh yeah, I think so. Because the thing is, mentally they're going for it all. And the thing is, we're talking about whether they're playing. First of all, the medical staff are going to tape that up real good. He probably ain't even going to feel it. But the thing is, it would be a different story if this was during the regular season. It's not. You're in the playoffs. They haven't been here in a while. Like they're going all for it. So and mentally, that's what I'm saying. I feel like mentally you can overcome anything physical, you know what I mean? So he's just going to play. He's going to play through it. But I mean, didn't he win? Wasn't he the one that won the Clutch Player of the Year award?
He did.
Now coming in clutch again. I mean, I'm not surprised. Honestly, if I were in that position, I'd probably still play too. Yeah, your team needs you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, listen, we've been killing Kawhi, who had a far worse injury, and everybody's not even just us. Everybody's been killing Kawhi about not being able to be there. And his injury is a lot worse with the torn meniscus.
Well, here's the deal, though. It's because of history. It's the reason why Draymond Green got kicked out of the game and suspended a game, and Dylan Brooks did not. Because there's no habitual history. He's not a habitual line stepper, right? Yep. Like Draymond is. And it's the same thing with this. Kawhi is habitually missing games for stuff. We're like, what? Your thigh hurts, right? Like, so when you're finding out why he's out, you're like, wow. So now, okay, a torn meniscus, but you're like, dude, it's because it's so repetitive. You don't have the empathy for him that you normally would because he's always missing games.
And what took so long to say, hey, I'm missing time because of a torn meniscus? Like, it's convenient.
Literally.
Like, you could have said that if you even if you found out it was a torn meniscus last night, release it last night. Say, I'm not playing because it's a torn meniscus. Now you can say, well, it's nobody's business really. I don't have to. But you know what? People are killing you. Just put the information out there, because I think the connotation would be a lot different if you knew, okay, this guy's got a serious injury that he's dealing with.
Well, I would maybe understand a little bit more. I wouldn't have, the media would have probably been like, oh, okay, it's a more serious injury there than we probably thought. So I think that would have changed the whole tone of everything.
Yeah, and I understand it. It is an injury, and it's a real one. But players, I've seen players play on those too.
Yeah, no,
I've
that's
seen
true.
Football players play on those. I've seen basketball players play with a torn meniscus. Right?
Yeah.
It hurts your lateral movement. Right? I understand it, but at the same time, I wouldn't say he should play on it. But what I'm saying is, it's because it's him. He doesn't get as much of the sympathy. And what they did was they tried to give us the slippy yum yum. You know what I mean? They tried to tell us, oh no, it's family issues. He's upset because of what happened with his family and it's personal. And then torn meniscus. It's like, no. I don't even believe that, because if that was the case, you would have said it from the beginning. Why would you even mention what's happening with his family? Like nobody, it's not to say nobody cares, but nobody cares. They're talking about this series. You know what I mean? Like everybody has issues going on in their family. Like, so get in line. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. But the torn meniscus is a real thing that should have been leading the charge, but they didn't. So it makes me kind of, not to say it's not true, but it's like, okay, you guys, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
Something doesn't jive. And and I don't think a lot of people are even killing him for being like soft and not being able to deal with injuries. I think they're just killing him because he's always injured. Even if they're legitimate injuries, he's always injured. I know, and to use even Stephen A. Smith as an example, his thing isn't saying, I'm not saying he can play, he's just not. I'm saying that maybe he's just not meant to be in the NBA. Maybe he's meant to retire because he just can never be healthy. So it's not even that anyone's really saying that he's just not being tough enough and just not battling through injuries. It's the fact that he's always injured is a downer. He's to know what he is when he plays.
Right.
And do you know what I'm saying? Like, did he tear his meniscus in the last game he played when he hit, like, what was it? I think he went for 35.
35, yeah.
So, I mean, was he playing with a torn meniscus then? I doubt it happened that night because he looked fine that whole night. Like, could he have handled playing a little bit more? We're not in his body. It's not fair for us to say, but you would like to think that maybe he could have. There's some times where he could play a little bit, more than he has.
I tell you who doesn't have any sympathy for him getting killed in the press. I mean, in the media over his injuries is AD. Anthony Davis is like, shut up, get in line. Okay,
that
nobody
guy
gets killed more than me.
And but the thing is, at least he plays through some of them. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it. No,
he misses a lot of time, but he does. Like, listen, there's never a game where he doesn't look like that old man that just like fell down the stairs. He's always like, oh, everything. He's always reaching for something, and it's like,
it's hilarious. But he's just too big. I think some human bodies are just too big. They're not supposed to be that big.
That's
what I mean?
Good point.
It just causes issues.
All right, so let's get to our last headline for the NBA. Raptors Otto Porter exercise player option. In a time where it seems like everybody always opts out, he opts in. And, obviously he missed a lot of time, was hurt majority of the year last year. He's going to earn $6.3 million. Is this a contract the Raptors would have hoped he would have opted out on?
To me?
I don't have an opinion about it.
Go to Caleeb first. I think yes for the Raptors, because I think they could have got back into the mix of trying to find another player. But I understand for him, because he missed a lot of the season due to injury. So you wanna show what you could do, right? You want to show that you're a value, because he probably knows next season he probably won't be there. So he's auditioning for his next contract. And then also $6 million. Listen, I understand in the NBA money that sounds like minuscule, but $6 million is still $6 million. You're not gonna just leave $6 million somewhere. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna go pick that up if it's up to you. If it's up to you to opt in, you want $6 million or no? Of course you're going to say yeah, because he knows his market value is not going to be high due to the injury and he wasn't playing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you want to opt in, get your money, and audition for your next contract.
I agree. You know what? He's someone that I feel like, say 5-6 years ago, we thought was going to be a future star in this league. He never really got to that level. Was a solid player. But I remember when there was times when he was getting bounced around a little bit to different teams because everyone thought he was going to be like one of these next big stars, and it just never really panned out. And I know it seems like Toronto has 10 other guys, the same exact type gameplay, the same exact body type, these 6'9", 6'10" guys that, like Nigel will tell you, the long arms, the great wingspans, but they all do the same exact thing on the court. So I would imagine the Raptors are looking at like he could either be a depth piece for us, or maybe a guy that we on an expiring contract we can maybe move at the trade deadline, because I don't think he's part of the long-term future. They have other guys that have the same exact game body type and gameplay that he has. I think he's a perfect candidate for a trade to a championship contender that just needs some depth at the end of the bench. Next,
you know who could use him? Phoenix.
Phoenix. You know what? Well, Phoenix can use just about everybody.
That's not bad.
But that okay aside, Phoenix would be perfect for him. That would, yeah.
That's what I mean. Like you got to fill up the bench. Like you need people that can come in and ball for you. Remember how good OKC was with James Harden coming off the bench?
Yeah,
that's like they were nasty. They were nasty at that time. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Abby, any more first-round picks you could throw Toronto's way now?
Oh, God.
See, you handing them out like candy, like it's Halloween.
We're going to go into like 2034 still throwing out picks.
Damn.
All right. So let's get into some NFL news. We already did the Jets-Packers. We already talked about that. But Panthers reached consensus on number one pick. They didn't reveal who it is. Who do we think it is? We think it's Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? It's got to be one of the two.
Of course it's Bryce Young, because that's why Bryce Young. That's why he canceled all of his other meetings. He go meet with them. He was scheduled to meet with other teams, meets with them, and then cancels everything. Yeah. And the team was like, "Hey, you're not supposed to. Hey, man, we didn't say we want Bryce, right? Like, duh. It just say it. We already know you're taking him, and good. It's just a lot. You talk about pressure. Pressure's going to be on that young man. Yes. A lot of pressure, because they're going to go number one. And football, boy, it's feast or famine. You make that choice, and God help you. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. But I'm rooting for him. I hope he has a great NFL career, and I want to see him do well. It's a different game now. It's a different game. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do.
Abby, would he be your pick if you were the GM of the Panthers?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, a lot of teams are not big on CJ Stroud. And I already told you about Ohio State quarterbacks and my opinion on them. But like Caleeb said, there is going to be a lot of pressure, because even the Carolina Panthers have had what seems to be, they had Cam Newton there for a while, but they've kind of dealt with the carousel of QBs, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. So they're looking for someone to kind of fill that missing piece as well. And then they also need Adam Thielen is there, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. They're going to need someone to pass the ball to him. So, because he's going to be a huge playmaker for the Panthers this year. So, yeah, I wish they would just say it already, because we all know. The only thing about Bryce Young that I'm going to knock him off a little bit is the height.
Yeah.
Like 5, is he 5'10", 5'11"?
5'10".
Yeah, but otherwise, he's very agile. He can move the ball, got a great arm. Alabama quarterbacks, the success of them in the NFL kind of speaks for themselves. So, but yeah, I think that's a solid pick for them.
Joe Namath was Alabama.
Oh,
right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
So there you go. Probably Abby, you're gonna think I'm not a Jet fan at times, because I always say Joe Namath might be the most overrated quarterback in the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God, I know.
But he is our guy, so there we go. They're in a tricky spot, because it's definitely the type of pick you'd want to move out of, right? I find it to be one of those years where I would hate to have the number one pick. If I could have the number one pick about most years, this would not be the year I'd want the number one pick. I'm not enamored by any of the quarterbacks. Any of the defensive guys that are really are going to be the stars of this draft going forward. You could have gotten them at picks 2 through 10. If there was a draft not to have the number one pick, this would be it for me. My luck, I'm surprised the Jets didn't have it, because this is like the type of Jet, draft choice they would be. They have the number one pick and then not be a good quarterback to go grab. But I'll tell you what, you just can't pick him number one. The quarterback I have with the highest ceiling is Anthony Richardson. I get, though, there's too many question marks. You can't take him number one. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, and this is the first time they've picked number one since I think Cam Newton, the Panthers. And that worked out really well for them, right? Got them to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
I just feel like I feel bad for the Panthers because I don't think this pick. I think 3 years from now they'll be looking for a new quarterback. I really do. I unfortunately for the Panthers, I feel bad because I just don't think he's the guy.
I feel like they have too many gaps to fill too, because not only do they need a quarterback, they need
another receiver.
Exactly.
They traded away one of the best in the league. You know, listen, and I'll be on that. I'm on that same thing with Adam Thielen. I don't think there's that much left juice to squeeze from Adam Thielen.
No.
Maybe a year left. You know, they signed him, I think, a 3-year deal.
He can't be the number one option.
No, he's got to be
in today's NFL.
No, he's got to be your third option at this point. He's not even.
He has to be. I mean, he might be able to be a solid second, but I would prefer him as a 3 because he'll still be a great possession receiver, but he's not going to have that season he had 2 or 3 seasons ago in Minnesota. I think it was 2 seasons ago in Minnesota. It's not going to be that. So.
Especially if he's the guy. If he's the guy, he's gonna get shut down. If you have to concentrate on him,
who else is gonna be the guy?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, where else do they like?
Yeah,
they would actually be,
like that to me
to be honest,
is ridiculous. And I'm just gonna back up for 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you disrespect Broadway Joe that way. Let me tell you what Broadway Joe did for this league. Broadway Joe not only guaranteed a Super Bowl, but went out there and won. And who did he beat? The Baltimore Colts and Mr. Johnny Unitas. Okay.
I don't know. Unitas wasn't the quarterback. It was Earl Morrow.
Yes,
Unitas was hurt that.
Right.
But still a great. I mean, he won the MVP that year. So
he still guaranteed it and did it when nobody thought that they were going to win.
Yeah.
Nobody thought they were going to win. They had a shot and he did it. But here's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Because of the swag.
Oh, he was a movie star.
He was like the Ric Flair of football. He'd be on the sideline
wearing a fur coat,
full-length mink coat on the sideline. You know what I mean? With the lamb chop sideburns. You know what I mean? He was John Travolta before John Travolta. You know what I'm saying? Like, Broadway Joe was the man. They got pictures of him out in Miami around the beach. Big old hairy chest, chilling, drinking his hand. He was the man. You know what I mean? Like, you got to put somebody like that in the Hall of Fame just to show kids how you make it look good. So I'm gonna give Broadway Joe his props and respect for all that.
Listen,
you're too used to seeing him in the AARP commercials now. You think that's his career.
Listen, does anybody remember when he was interviewed by Susie Colbert and he was hammered and he hit on Susie Colbert? Does anybody remember that?
He said, "You got a pretty mouth."
He's like, he goes, "I could kiss you right now." Abby, it was the most cringy thing as a Jet fan.
I've seen the clip.
Hey, that's how you know you never mix liquor with media. Because the truth comes out.
Joe
that would get a lawsuit now.
Joe Namath, listen, he saw a pretty woman, shot his shot, and it just didn't work out.
And he's not used to missing.
No, he's not. No, he's not. So listen, he's a great spokesman for the Jets even to this day. He's always there. He doesn't badmouth the Jets really. He's a good statesman, elder statesman for the franchise. But he did have more picks than touchdowns. That we do have to remember that.
Yeah.
But again, listen, I only own a couple of Jet jerseys, and he's one of them. Where I only own a couple of football jerseys.
Who else you gonna get? Who else?
Darrelle Revis.
I have a Mark Sanchez one.
Curtis Martin, maybe. Who
else? I have a Darrelle Revis throwback. I wore it yesterday. Bart Scott, I don't have, but I do love Bart Scott.
No, I'm talking about jerseys, like Jet players jerseys that you like. Okay, I get that. Yeah.
I would say you name it.
What about Braylon Edwards?
No, wasn't a Jet long enough.
Number 17 don't work?
Not 17 now works for Garrett Wilson, maybe.
Right. Okay.
But he's going to change his number to 5, which I don't really like that.
But here's the thing. My son was like, I want to get the 17. He's like, because that 17 is going to be like Jordan's 45 in 10 years from now. And it's a good point. And everyone's going to remember Garrett Wilson as number 5, and that 17 is going to be throwback-ish only a couple of years from me. Like people can look at that Garrett Wilson as Jordan's 45 or even LeBron's number 23.
Rookie of the year jersey.
So he's looking at it like that. So
who do you have? You have Revis?
I have Revis and I have Namath. I have a Mangold. I have a Mangold jersey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good one.
I had
no Curtis Martin.
I did when I was younger, but I don't have it anymore. I think my son has it now. I did have I don't have it anymore, but a Jamal Adams jersey. And then when he finally was gone, I was like, you know what, good riddance. I think I threw it out. I don't have that anymore. And who else do I have? I have a Steve Largent jersey, but I never wear it.
Ooh, but that works better in Seattle. You get the Steve Largent Seattle one.
It was the old school. It was the old school Seattle jersey too, where it was the
that's
bright
fire.
blue, and it was back when they were an AFC team. I don't have that many jerseys anymore, but like the ones I do, like the Revis and the Namath one I wear a lot. That's the two.
What was the Chad? What was y'all quarterback? Chad
Pennington.
Pennington. You don't have a Pennington?
No, I don't have a Pennington. I like Pennington. I like Pennington, man.
I did too.
So, I had a Keyshawn jersey. I had a Keyshawn jersey back in the day.
Yeah, Keyshawn. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay.
So all right. I have a few, but Revis is my favorite one because I love the old school, the old Titans uniforms, the old the dark blue with the gold yellow. So I wear that jersey. In fact, I wore it yesterday on the show. So, but all right, let's get to more NFL news. Vikings extend Justin Jefferson's 5th-year option.
Better?
They better do it. I don't know why they have this guy locked up already.
What are you talking about?
Get him locked up for the long term, and you're going to pay him $19 million this year. If you get him locked up, you're not going to pay $19 million. You're going to probably pay him like $12 a year because there's going to be bonuses and stuff.
He's worth it. He's absolutely worth it.
Best receiver in the game right now.
Right.
So, what else we got? We also got Joe Burrow is his 5th-year option picked up.
What?
That's going to cost you 30. Here's why this makes no sense either. It's going to cost you $30 million. Get him signed to a long-term deal. You probably knock that number down to $25 million. Save yourself, you save someone into the cap.
They're not. He's not. They are not getting him for $25
million. No. They're going to get him for a lot more. But I'm saying the cap hit would be. They can get that cap hit lower. They can negotiate it where they're paying him out a certain amount of years. There's bonus money, but it only costs maybe $25 million. His
contract is going to be astronomical.
You think
that might be why they're pushing it. They pick up the 5th-year option and push it to the next season because it. Do you understand what it?
He's never leaving Cincinnati.
Yeah.
No.
He's my favorite quarterback in the league right now.
Really?
Yeah, he's my favorite. I have a man crush on Joe Burrow, man.
He's definitely
everybody has a crush on Joe Burrow.
and I was a doubter coming out of college. I'm like, he's got 1 year under his belt. He had a great year, but it's 1 year under his belt. And I remember thinking, I don't think listen, Haskins had the same type of year coming out of Ohio State, right? Like he had the same numbers coming out of Ohio State, and he was a bust. And I'm thinking, you know what? I don't know enough about this guy. I don't know if he's going to be the star. He's exceeded my expectations more than I ever thought he could be on a high end.
Right.
So because of that, I root for Joe Burrow when it's not my Jets. I love to watch. I think he's so calm back there. He reminds me of old school Tom Brady. Even though I hated Tom Brady as a Jet fan, but just seeing how cool as a cucumber he was back there, or Joe Montana. He's got that cool factor. They call him Joe Cool for a reason, right? He's got that cool factor back there in the huddle, man.
Anybody that can wear a white Bengal tiger print suit,
yes,
I can rock with him. Like,
there you go.
Who can wear that completely, like with no shirt underneath?
Yes,
like come on, man.
He's
with his number in diamonds. It's like, come on, man.
He's my favorite quarterback in the league right now. I know he'll never be a Jet, but he's my favorite guy in the league. I just love watching him play.
I agree.
And don't get me wrong, Mahomes is fantastic. He's fun to watch too because he's improvises so much. But when you want him to be a pure pocket passer, I love the way he plays. It's like it's a throwback to how you would play out in the yard when you were a kid.
That's right. It's right. You know who else has that is Kyler Murray. I enjoy watching Kyler Murray play. I really do. Like he's fun to watch. He really is.
My only difference is I felt like Kyler Murray would escape out of the pocket when he didn't really need to yet because he wanted to make the big flashy play.
Right.
Mahomes doesn't do it because he wants to do it. Mahomes will literally wait till he has to do it. And I thought that was the difference between him and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was always looking for chaos first. Yeah. And I think with Mahomes, if it becomes chaos, he can handle it. Right. That's my difference. But when you look at a pure prototypical passer sitting back in the pocket and letting out like a cannon to his receivers, that's to me is Joe Burrow all day.
And my boy Justin Herbert.
And I would say, and Herbert has the same type.
Favorite quarterback. Right?
He's up there with me too. I love Justin Herbert as well. So,
big Herbert fan.
But Burrow is my guy. So what do we got next? And we'll go into some other topics in a minute. But Packers targeting Jackson Smith, and I'm going to butcher his last name. Can anybody pronounce it?
I thought it was Najigba.
Njigba. That's what I thought it was, but I was like, I don't know if I'm saying it right. I don't want to disrespect the man. I literally will call him JSN.
I applaud the Packers. They got to start somewhere. They got to
get some weapons for the kid. If you think love could be the kid, and again, listen, they're the same question marks. They had the same question marks. Nobody knew Rodgers was going to be what he was when they first put him in the starting lineup. They felt good about him. They said, "Oh, we think he's going to be good," but they didn't know he was going to be Aaron Rodgers, right?
Right.
If they did, they probably would have started him earlier.
I don't know. They had Brett Favre.
They did have Brett Favre, but Brett Favre was also already starting to show a little bit of signs towards the end of that career.
But he was still Brett. Like it was hard. You remember how much Green Bay loved Brett?
Oh, they love themselves with Brett. Brett's not too popular these days. It's everywhere, but at that time, he could do no wrong.
I'm talking about then. It was ridiculous. Like, oh my gosh. So
no, they did. That's a good point. They did.
Yeah.
But the same thing with Love now, though. I feel like they have the same kind of question marks, and that just shows you he could literally be, 5 years from now, we could be putting him right in the mix with Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? Right. As far as quality players. So we just don't know yet.
Yeah.
They've obviously hung on to him for all these years for a reason. They must like what they see in camp.
Didn't they draft him in the first round?
Yeah, but like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but
I'm saying, but they must have liked something to be able to do that. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
Well, Garrett Wilson has praised Jackson all the way, and he's put up better stats than I think Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave when he was at Ohio State.
Well, let me tell you who's going to be the guy, and he's not going to be in this year's draft. Next year's draft is Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be. He gives me Randy Moss vibes.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
He's scary.
And that pedigree, I don't know how many people remember, but his father,
Marvin Harrison, I think he's going to be better than his father, though. I think he's going to be more on that Randy Moss vibe. I see Randy Moss.
No, I'm saying, and I'm like, and his father was a beast. So if he can exceed that, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, he seems all accounts a really good kid. I'm rooting for him, and I would love to see him succeed. Hopefully, he goes into a good situation with a good quarterback next year's draft. So we're looking forward to that. But so real quick, we got a couple of things we still have to go over. With the draft coming up, it's tomorrow. What position do we think makes the biggest impact in this draft? Not who makes the biggest impact, but overall, when you take a grouping of is it going to be the wide receivers? Is it going to be the linebackers? Is it going to be the pass rushers? Quarterbacks?
No, it's always quarterbacks in the NFL. I'll just say, and I'll let Abby jump in. But in my opinion, it's always the quarterback, because you can get a corner that's like a Deion Sanders type thing. You can get a Ronnie Lott safety. You can get a Patrick Willis type linebacker, but they don't impact the game nearly as much as your signal caller does. Right? It's so important in today's game. You can have Randy Moss, but if you have MC Get Busy back there throwing him the ball and can't get it to him, I don't care if you got Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, like all on the same team, they're not going to win. That's how important it is. So, and you can have Ronnie Lott and Patrick Willis and Deion Sanders on defense, but if you're on the field 80% of the game, you're going to get burned. That's just what happens. So I really think it's the quarterback. It just always is.
Caleb pretty much described the Jet season last year. He basically said, you can have all these studs on defense, but if you don't have the signal caller, it doesn't matter, nothing.
I will never forget, I told you, when Quinnen stopped them in the Jags game, and we were already in the red zone, and we couldn't get the ball for a touchdown. And I think that's right. Jack had 92 yards. Just let that sink in.
Yeah. Against a so-so defense too. So, so what position do you think is going to be the most impactful in this year's draft?
I am going to disagree with Caleb because the quarterback situation. I mean, I've even heard Will Levis going to above CJ Stroud. People are going to be trading up. They're talking about the Vegas Raiders trading up and getting a quarterback too. For me, though, and I told you this is a heavy defensive draft, and I think that those kind of edge defenders are going to be very impactful. And if you look at the stack of names, I'll just go over a few, like Will Anderson Jr., Myles Murphy, Tyree Wilson, who is huge. That dude is a monster.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith, Lucas Van Ness. These guys are all big guys. And we were talking about running the 40. 4.83, I think, was the slowest time in that whole bunch. And I think they're looking for someone to kind of get after the quarterback that's going to be agile and be able to kind of utilize it in that area. Pass rushing is huge now.
You know what you say, Wilson, and I saw a couple of mocks in the last couple of days that have the Jets actually taking Wilson at 15. And
I've seen that too. But I mean, Yeah, and he's from Texas Tech. I mean, he's the biggest of them all. He's, look at it, 6'6", 271 pounds, 4.82. He was the slowest, of course, but he's also got 2 feet on half of these guys and like 30 pounds on some of them. So, and I was watching his highlight reel, and he's pretty agile.
Yeah.
He's pretty agile.
Yeah, no, he can move for his size for a big man. Typically I would agree with I would say 99% of the time I would agree with Caleb. This is just that draft where I don't think the quarterbacks are going to have that much of an impact. I don't think they're that good this year. 99% of the time it is. And even when they're really bad quarterbacks, sometimes that's still an impact, right? If you have 5 quarterbacks get drafted in the first round and they're all garbage, that still impacts the league, just not in a good way.
Just look at your team. Look at your team.
No, 100%.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It impacted you guys tremendously. So much so, you got to trade everything to go get Aaron Rodgers.
Who is like basically like we were talking about AARP. He might be a member of AARP already.
I am going to say with Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, just because I didn't touch on it when we first started chatting about it, it is Aaron Rodgers being a New York Jet and Zach Wilson sitting behind him is a very good thing. I think it'll show him. We talked about his leadership skills. I think it's going to show him how to lead a team, how to take control of your team, which is something that we feel like he's never really had. I think potentially too, if it doesn't look like we're probably going to keep him eventually, his trade value may go up with Aaron Rodgers kind of sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and kind of being backup for him. So I
agree. I don't think he'll ever take another snap for the Jets another meaningful snap for the Jets, I should say. I think if anything, we only kept him so we can build up his trade value and then get rid of him. He needs to go somewhere else, I think. I'm not saying he can't be a good quarterback somewhere. I just don't. I think in New York at this point, it's done. So I agree. I think they're just trying to build up the trade value, having him sit behind Rodgers, and then they'll try to flip him. If they can get him like for a 4th round pick 2 years from now, they'll be happy with that. And listen, you're gonna have to make a decision by next year on the 5th year option. You're not picking up that. You're gonna pay him $30 million. You're gonna pay him $30 million. Well, now that we got Danny Dimes making $40 million, who knows what $30 million is worth? So maybe it's worth it at that point. But
no,
but that's my take on that. And then we spoke a little bit before about where D Hop might be good with the Jets and whatnot. But where do we think when the dust settles, where does he end up, Abby? Where does D Hop end up?
Oh, man. I was a little harsh on D-Hop here. I think last week I went on my whole little tangent.
We both were a little pissed off. Yeah.
Yeah. And mind you, that's just me being an emotional Jets fan. I am very logical. I completely understand. He wants to go to a winning team. Caleb, you already said he's been in the league so long and whatnot. For me, it's going to be in between best fit. And I don't want him in our division, but best fit is the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
but they're going to have to do something with their cap space because they ain't got no money. They're going to have to restructure. I think like 4 people take up like most of their cap space. So they're going to have to do some restructuring there. And if they can get him, I think he would be the best fit alongside Gabe Davis. And then, of course, alongside Stephon Diggs. But the next, obviously, place for me is Kansas City. I think they could use him, but Kansas City seems to be a little confident with the core that they have now, even though
they also don't have a lot of money either.
Yeah, exactly. But if he wanted to go to a team where he could like build them up, I read an article about it. I think, the Cleveland Browns wouldn't be a bad fit either. He would mesh in well because they have Peoples-Jones. Elijah Moore just got traded there as well. So they
got who was the guy from Dallas?
I know. I don't know why I'm missing on the name right now.
Amari Cooper.
Yeah, exactly. So if he wanted to kind of work with the team, which it seems like he doesn't want to at this point, that would be a good fit for him. But honestly, right now, best option is the Bills if they can afford him, essentially.
I agree with you 1,000% with everything you said. I think it's absolutely the Bills because the Bills can win. It makes them a big contender immediately, right? I think I think Mr. Hop should. I think he's going to have to play ball with the team, right? Because I know he wants all the big money. He wants all this. I totally get it. But because he's been gone for 2 years, and even though I don't put a jacket on him about the PEDs, it does something in your negotiation. It's just part of it, right? So it's like you may have to take less for the first season, ball out, and then you get your money the next season. I know he doesn't want to do that, so I highly doubt it. But that would be how you get onto one of these contenders to get yourself to the Super Bowl, or at least into the playoffs where you can do something. Because even just going to the playoffs, you're one play. Here's what's so great about the social media generation. You're one play away from changing your entire life. You don't even have to win the game. Odell Beckham Jr. Entire career changed with one catch in his hand against the Cowboys. Changed everything for him. You could do the same, right? So it's like he's got to think of it like that. But what your point about the Browns is, let me tell you something. If he went to the Browns, and it would be a reunion with his quarterback, because he was with them in Houston, man. That's a nasty team right there. Like that would be, and I'm telling you, if Mr. Watkins comes back as a baller like this season and he kills it at QB, man, that's the Browns are hard out. That is a team to be reckoned with.
And I have to think Watson struggled a lot. Well, obviously he didn't play half the season, but with all that pressure from the media, I think that dust has kind of settled. I mean, I haven't heard anything. He's not being so attacked in the media anymore.
It's kind of subsided a little bit, I think, at this point.
Exactly. Not completely, but enough for him to, I think, mentally get in a better space. And that's what I'm saying. So if he has D-Hop there, I think it would even put him in an extra better space, give him that little more oomph to kind of get over that we'll call it a little slip up, but it was 22 slip ups.
At minimum. Allegedly. But allegedly. But you know what though? Here's my take. Listen, was I pissed off like we talked about it with the Jets? Yeah, you don't want to be here, then kick rocks. We don't want you anyway. Right. I do want him. That's like, it's like me finding out my crush doesn't want to be with me, and I'm like, you know what? Well, I didn't want to be with you anyway, lady. Get out of here. I would love him to be a Jet because we could use the depth. Yeah. But I think he'd be really intriguing in one of two places. They don't need him as much, but he's a depth piece, and he would instantly go to the top of their depth chart is San Francisco. San Francisco, they deal with some injuries with Deebo Samuel every year because they let him run the ball, so he's going to get hurt. But could you imagine if they added someone like his caliber there to that offense? It would be dangerous. And the other place that he would be good, Baltimore. Yes. Pairing him up with Odell. But could you imagine him in San Francisco, how great that San Francisco offense would look?
Unguardable.
Who do you? I mean, and again, you're going to have time where somebody's going to get hurt. Deebo Samuel misses time every year because again, what does he do? He runs the ball out of the backfield. He's going to get nicked up. They're going to have to rest him at times. Could you imagine if you didn't even have him and you still got to deal with Brandon Ayuk, and then on the other side is Hopkins. Hopkins probably becomes the number one
in the middle,
and you got Kittle and CMC
coming out the backfield that can catch the ball. Like
he's going to make somebody an all-pro quarterback. If the caliber of an all-pro quarterback or not, he's going to make somebody an all-pro quarterback. So I think San Francisco would make a lot of sense for him, especially if he wants to go to a place. It seems like he wants to go to a place that's already kind of built up for him to go there.
Yeah.
That's a perfect spot for him.
Oh, my
God.
But
also, Baltimore, man, adding another receiver. Baltimore needs some receivers, having Andrews on the tight end underneath, and then you got him and OBJ on the outside. I think that would be a great spot for him as well.
Oh, my God.
Well, I think Lamar's already said he's all on board for that.
So there you go. I mean, it would make sense. I'd rather not see him in the AFC. I'd rather see him in the
That's what I was going to say. We don't need them to have any more help. We already have the hardest journey to get to an AFC championship.
Agreed. So I'd rather see him in the NFC. Plus, I have my boy Joey D. He's a big 49er fan. I'd love to see for him. But again, Jets, I would love to see the Jets first. I just don't think it's going to happen. Especially now, our cap is kind of shot with the whole.
That's what I'm going to say. They don't have money.
Yeah. So we went from having a lot of cap space to not having any really. But Baltimore and San Francisco will be the two places I think he would be best at.
Well, the hit with Aaron Rodgers is not as bad this year it's next year where we're like completely screwed.
Yeah, which hopefully he'll at least be sticking around. And if we win a Super Bowl, I can deal with that. I can deal with it. If we win a Super Bowl, I can deal with it.
Right.
But that's really where it comes down to. So, but guys, that's gonna pretty much do it for the show this week. We're getting out of today. We're getting out of it a little early. But we were actually talking, and so I think starting next week, me and Caleb were talking. We're gonna go at least for the summertime, for the spring summer, where there's not as much news going on. The basketball season is gonna start winding down a little bit. We're gonna start doing 3 days a week. So we're gonna be on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I believe, and we'll announce it a little bit more in depth tomorrow. We figure a little stuff out, but you know what? When you get to baseball season, you can't talk baseball every day, right? Like otherwise, we're talking about a bunch of 7-4 games, and who wants to do that? So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to 3 days a week until we get to like September, October, where we have everything is playing at once: NBA, playoff baseball, NBA, NCAA. So I think we're gonna do that starting next week, but we'll let you guys know tomorrow a little bit more in depth if we're gonna do that for everyone out there. But having said that, Abby, last words of the day.
Oh man, I'm gonna bring it back to Aaron Rodgers because I am just so beyond enthusiastic. A lot of people were talking about changing the Elijah Moore jersey from 8.
My son has to do that.
Putting some tape over it. It probably would save them money in the end. I can tell you when those jerseys come available, sold out.
Oh yeah,
completely sold out. I mean, I'm going to say I'm again so thankful that we got Aaron Rodgers now. I'm literally think that kind of makes us, I'm not going to say we're going to go all the way to the Super Bowl. It puts us in the conversation though.
Yes.
And I'm tired of being the doormat of the NFL. And then of course I'm still going to continue to say it. Go Suns. I don't think Phoenix gets a lot of attention sometimes, but I was born and raised here. The 602 is alive and well, and I have to make it known to everyone that watches us. So
go Suns. Caleb, last words of the day.
Yeah, and for me, I always say it, spread love is the Brooklyn way, y'all. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.
Guys, go enjoy that press conference. If you're a Jet fan or if you're just an NFL fan, you want to see Aaron Rodgers in that opening press conference, you can go on ESPN, I believe. It's probably going to be everywhere, but ESPN is one of those places on in about 15, 20 minutes from now. So go check it out. And for Allie and Caleb, I am Gene. Guys, have a great today, a better tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.
bye.
That's the pop-off for today, folks. Thank you to all of our listeners, as well as our producers, Patty Puddles and Fareed Kameo. And make sure you tune in tomorrow to hear what these hooligans will pop off about next.